5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
What the Float is a dance party. It's a chance to make new friends. There's a whole lot of heart. There's a story that we're telling you.
Every month, What the Float's rotating team of DJs hosts a thematic dancing tour through a different Los Angeles neighborhood. Each of these silent discos features glowing headphones pumping out curated playlists that reflect the iconic nature of each enclave. This month, Nick Lee presents A Float Through Time, which spotlights the rich cultural history of LA's Koreatown.
A lot of Koreatown was developed in the 20s and 30s, and so a lot of the architecture that you see is kind of from back then, and it's very classic. And one of the places that we dance past in leg one is actually the Hollywood Brown Derby, which is, a historic, iconic restaurant that tells the story of Hollywood. But when we were dancing outside of it, I made sure that we played some swing music, some electro swing, to kind of pay homage to the time period. Just like eagle-eyed floaters may have noticed that, but it's just one of those little details that we try to include to make sure that the music we play is matching up to the environment that you're dancing through.
When What the Float debuted in Los Angeles in 2018, the event resembled a musical bar crawl, with revelers dipping in and out of neighborhood establishments. But when the COVID pandemic shuttered LA's bars and everything else, What the Float was forced to evolve.
The night is tied to visits to bars and establishments, and so, when COVID hit, we were really nervous, but before long we realized, all we need are the headphones and people. In fact, one of the first floats that we did, kind of coming out of the pandemic, was through Griffith Park. And we danced and hiked up the hill to the observatory. And it provided us such a unique experience, something that we wouldn't have explored otherwise. And so I think, COVID forced us to really think outside of the box and think of how else, what other kinds of spaces can we dance and can we float in.
One of the unique outdoor spaces incorporated in A Float Through Time was a quaint park nestled in the middle of K-Town. This urban mini-forest featured a tree on which Angelinos are encouraged to hang tags bearing their hopes and dreams. Think of it as a wooden wishing well.
When you get to the woods, there's the music kind of pauses, and it's this introspective, quiet moment where you're listening to a TED Talk about how time does not necessarily heal all wounds, how you're supposed to do the active work and you're supposed to, push yourself to heal. And tied around the trees, something that I noticed when I was scouting the area are little tags with wishes on them.
Despite What the Float's positivity, the guerrilla nature of the event sometimes provokes local security, like it did at the end of A Float Through Time.
Sometimes, like what happened tonight, we run into security who's just not about it. But, the nature of float is that it's so transient. We have staff members, managers, whose job it is to kind of interface with security if we ever run into them. And, the manager will speak to a security guard and explain to them who we are, what we're doing. And by the time they explain it, we're already gone.